Alright boys, here's Dead by Daylight's Trapper lore in 5 minutes or less. Before adopting his killer persona and showing us what the point of the mask is, Trappy Boy was a kid from Seattle named Evan Macmillan, son of a wealthy coal mine owner named Archie Macmillan. Archie was a stereotypical, cartoonishly evil, mustache-twirling coal tycoon whose mere existence makes you think, maybe this whole capitalism thing has some downsides to it. He referred to his employees as maggots, squeezed every last ounce of energy out of them the way that I squeeze limes over my tacos, and didn't hesitate to beat the crap out of them, much like what the aforementioned tacos do to my bowels. Evan, however, didn't see the miners as maggots or limes. He saw them as people with hopes and dreams and who worked to sustain a family rather than to get rich. He sympathized with them, fraternized with them, and hid the fact that they were trying to organize a union from his father. The three friends that are specifically mentioned are named Bob, Tom, and Jim, which sounds like placeholder names that Behavior forgot to change in the final edits of the tome lore. In addition to being friendly with the workforce, Evan had an artsy side. He enjoyed sketching, creating something from nothing. His father thought that was a hobby for pussies and tried to beat it out of him, but Evan continued to draw in secret as an act of defiance. The ways that Archie tried to get the sissy out of his son were to take him to the mines to witness him beating the workers into compliance and taking him to bear hunts. Hey, that's where the bear traps come from. Archie has a favorite story of how a bear mutilated his brother and he avenged his brother by using only a knife and grit and spit. But Evan wonders if this is a cover-up and suspects that his father actually murdered the uncle, as he was a socialist, but not like really a socialist. He was a socialist in the sense that he was somebody who wanted to treat employees like human beings and make sure they can afford to support their families even if that means less profits. Evan also suspected that Archie murdered Evan's mother, as she too tried to convince him to go easy on the workers shortly before her mysterious drowning. Evan drew sketches of his father in a bear suit murdering each of them. However, inside of Evan there were two wolves, one that was loyal to his father and one that was loyal to Bob, Tom, and Jim. I still can't get over those names. It's hinted at that Evan's acceptance of his father's wrongdoing is fueled by the entity influencing him over the course of many years. While Evan tries to reject the side of him that admires and supports his father's horrendous actions, things ultimately come to a head when his father finds out about all of his drawings. How did he find out, you might ask? It turns out that Evan was betrayed by none other than Bob, Tom, and Jim. Archie bribed them into spilling the beans on Evan's softer, artsier side, found out where the drawings were hid, and tore up all of them except for the one of him murdering Evan's mom, which he framed in his bedroom. This broke Evan. His friends, who he was trying to help get better wages and benefits by not divulging their union plans, sold him out for a few bucks, allegedly. We only hear Archie's side, which means it's all too possible that they told him Evan's secrets under threat of having the juice squeezed out of them. But the damage was done. Evan believed his father, and that sealed his fate as a die-hard libertarian. He helped his father thwart the union efforts and took over as enforcer when his father's mental health deteriorated. He oversaw the mines with an overwhelming presence and expressed his agitation against the workforce with a show of brutal strength. He also seemed to go above and beyond what his father did, as his signature cleaver was handcrafted by him and used for who knows what. He took out his rage often on both humans and animals and went on to commit the single largest mass murder in United States history. He collapsed a mine shaft on the union members. When authorities went to investigate this, they found Archie's corpse, having been locked in his room by Evan and having starved to death. Evan himself was nowhere to be found, as he was taken by the entity and given a pretty little mask. Here's where things get a little bit of poetic justice. When Evan was taken by the entity and the entity tried to force him to be a killer for it, at first Evan refused because the entity was not his father. However, the entity showed the trapper that even though it wasn't his father, it was something much more powerful, his daddy. Much like how Archie taught the trapper how to beat the workers into compliance, the entity beat the obedience right into the trapper, as evidenced by his disfigurations. And that, my boys, is how one kid with daddy issues became the worst killer in Dead by Daylight. The end. I think some of the major themes of this story are family obedience should only go so far, capitalism is maybe kinda sorta bad at times, and the age-old one, be careful how you treat others because an ancient multiversal being may abduct you and treat you the same way. Anyway, that's it for me today. Make sure you're subscribed if you want to stay up to date on these things. I hope you're taking care of yourselves, and I'll catch you on the next one.